Dobry wieczór. Wróciłem do domu z podróży do Niemcy i Polska. Do marcu moja rodzina postanowiła odwiedzić Lubeki w Niemczech. W marcu także kryby, że wiz będzie latać w mojego miasta Aarhus w Gdańsku. Tak więc po raz pierwszy odwiedziłem Gdańsk i Warszawy. Stamtąd udał podjeździem przez Berlin do Neumünster, gdzie spotkałem moją mamę i siostrę. Nie wybraliśmy nasze wynajem samochodu i pojechaliśmy do Lübecki. 4 noce w Lübecku. Miałem kilku miesięcy użyć polskiego. To niemożliwe. Ayant ainsi démontré en pratique que c'est impossible de prendre le polonais dans un mois, je vais continuer en anglais. Hello. I have just returned from a little trip during Easter to Germany and Poland. 1 month ago, my family, that is my mother and my sister, we decided that we would spend our Easter, that is Thursday to Monday, in the area around Lübeck in Germany. But at the same time I also found out that a company called Wizz Air had started a new route from my hometown Aarhus to Gdańsk in Poland. So I decided to go Saturday, spend one night in Gdańsk, go to Warszawa, and from there through Berlin up to meet my family in Neumünster, and then we would spend the rest of the Easter in the area around Lübeck. Now I've got this language craze, so I decided it might be worth looking a little into Polish. I just had 1 month for it. I had ordered the ticket a week or so into March, and I had until the 14th of April. So it was not much time. I've done something similar once before when I bought a trip to Cape Verde. And Cape Verde, they speak Portuguese, which I hardly could read when I studied at the university 30 years ago, and I'd totally forgotten everything about it. But I had one advantage. My reference language was their Spanish, which I had trained during my travels in Latin America. And I could speak Spanish, I could read Spanish, and I found some good sources in Portuguese about science and things like that, which interest me. So, my reference language for Polish, that's Russian, and that's a totally different cup of tea, because I've had very few occasions to speak Russian. I can read it, and I can, with a dictionary and a little help and some errors, I can write it. But it's not nearly something I speak as fluently as I did Spanish. So I had to settle for a lower level of Polish. Besides, I didn't find any good sources to listen to. So my Polish would be passive and fragmentary, but I started out softly, and then I got involved in the project. So I'll show you my books. I actually, during my studies at the university 30 years ago, I did buy a couple of books in strange languages, and Polish is a strange language. This one, that's a textbook, Mówi po polsku, a beginner's course of Polish, from 79. I actually discovered this rather late during my studies, but it's a classical study book with texts and translations in this case. That's very good, and a little bit of grammar. Apparently there would be some audio also, but I have never got that. Okay, so I used that, but I got tired of reading about a male engineer and a female doctor who becomes engaged like that. If I really was interested in sitcoms, I would watch them. I don't watch them. and I got tired of this book, not because of the way it's structured, because I'm sick and tired of hearing about the people in it. But to be fair, I've seen worse. Then somehow I got the idea some time ago. You have seen it in my video about my books. I bought a Polish dictionary, Pons, German, Polish, and back again. Very good book. With, I have found some things I would have wanted better, but with 130,000 words, head words. That's a lot. That's a big book, and too big for my luggage when I went to Poland. I had one book more, which I also have bought once in Flensburg. That is Pons, Grammatik kurz und bündig, Polish. It's a good book, very clear, and I carried this along during my travel and studied it in the evenings. Then the problem is I went down there without my big Pons dictionary because it's far too fat for travel. So in Warszawa I bought a couple of smaller books. This one, Oxford Słownik francuski polski, polsko-francuski. The problem is it is really written for Polish people. So there are some problems. It doesn't show clearly the distinction between imperfective and perfective verbs. Rather, it gives one of those and not the other one. So, but it is very good when I make word lists, because it is totally impossible to work your way through this as a beginner. I've seen that. This one has just the size that a beginner can use. I bought one little more book more. Some people on YouTube have spoken about using travel guides, no, language guides. I bought one in Warszawa. Come si dice in polacco? Well, just for fun. This one was I had forgotten to say it was French and Polish. This one is in Italian for people Italians visiting Poland. It's just more fun than always seeing one in English or Danish or something like that. And just before leaving, I had ordered this through Amazon. That's a grammar of contemporary Polish by Oscar E. Swan, Slavica. And it's a fat book. It's very comprehensive. When I get through this one, you can see the difference. Then I can get to the advanced stage with this one. So, now we have seen my books. What should I read? Good question. In a train in Poland, I snatched this one. That's the railway magazine. It seems, I hope, it's PKP Intercity, and it's about Poznan, a nice town with 2 zoological gardens. I visited it before I went language crazed. So I'll study that soon. I've already read some while traveling in those intercity trains. So, what did I do? I started out using the method I've demonstrated earlier to make bilingual texts. In this case, it just became trilingual, because, as you can see now, I have made some text from the internet. In this case, it's about the orchestra, taken from Wikipedia. I use Google Translate. When I mark up an area in Google Translate, put it into Word as text. The little box where you can choose 3 possibilities, I put it in as text. Then I get a bilingual version with Polish, and in this case I chose Russian. Well, my Russian is a little, well, not too good, but I could it found out I could use it for this purpose. I had hardly to look up a Russian word, which is good. But I was not quite sure of my Russian, so I made a separate column for Danish at the side using a second window with a translation, a Google translation. So this is the result. And of course, I copied, as I normally do, I copied the text in both Polish and Russian. Then I learned also a little Russian. Fine. Some words about the orchestra. I also found a text about the French horn, which for some strange reason was called ugol in Russian. That's a corner. But it's really a corn. In Polish, that means a horn, like on an animal. Well, I also found text about Oliver Zoo outside Gdansk and other fine texts. I have studied those, and of course, everything ends up in a word list. The one you see on the screen now is not the one made from those texts I just mentioned, because I have lost those, but this one is made from my little Oxford dictionary, this one, and it's fine for that purpose because it's not too big. Of course, after 1 month I haven't learned Polish. I didn't intend to, I didn't expect it, but I've got a start, and that's all I expected. Goodbye.